Yo, what is going on? You 7 nickels short of a hot fudge sundae, Cedra. Today, taking a look at the fully revealed Eevee Heroes set that they're getting over in Japan. I don't know if they have it right now or if it's coming out soon for them. We'll be getting these cards either in our August set or like our October special set. We actually don't know when we're going to be getting these cards, but it'll be around then. But anyways, I want to go through them and just kind of give my thoughts on what I think is kind of the best cards, some cards that I think are just cool. Because I think there are quite a few interesting cards in here. At the very least, they won't be, tier 1, maybe some good meme decks, or like, have some viability, and maybe at some point, throughout their meta existence and standard, they will have some viability. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. Gonna start with the Lefeon V, we're not gonna go over all the Vs of the Eeveelutions, I don't think, but this one is actually very important or very good. Because it has this greening cells ability. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a grass energy attached to one of your Pokemon. If you use this ability, your turn ends. Now, the reason this is such a big deal, now your turn does end, but if you're theoretically using Lefeon VMAX, which we'll go over this right now, I guess, as well, and 200 HP on the Lefeon V as well. But the Lefeon VMAX, it's got that, 310 HP. The VMAX, of course, so it's effectively a stage 1. Grass Colorless, 60 damage. This attack does 60 damage for each energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. And then Grass Colorless, Max Leaf 170, heal 30 from this Pokemon. So the Max Leaf, not quite as just the 3 energy cost. Healing 30, probably not going to save you from getting 2-hit KO'd. And then the 170 for 3 energy, pretty costly overall, especially when we have Galare Mine in the format currently, or will. Probably if this comes out before rotation, we actually don't know for sure. We will still have Galare Mine around. We won't have Absol anymore, but as the meta shifts to more VMAX based Pokemon, Absol is going to be less relevant. So we will still have Galare Mine to work with for the Lefeon VMAX. So it can 2-hit KO pretty much anything. It can 1-hit KO most smaller things as well. And from there, the problem with the card, of course, is actually it's Grass Colorless for the energy cost, and there's no real great grass energy excel in the format right now, but that's why the V comes in so strong with that ability. On your first turn, you can just go search out an extra energy attachment for turn, and then on your next turn, you can be attacking no matter what, and then you'll get another attachment on your next Lefeon V or VMAX, and you start to like slowly build up your energy in play, and you will be able to continuously attack from turn to turn, because 310 HP is quite a bit. So unless you're up against a fire deck, which would be like a Victini VMAX, not getting 1-hit KO'd, you're getting 2-hit KOs. You have plenty of time to build up the energy in play and continuously set up attackers. So the ability is super strong early on. I guess you could play this deck with maybe the Water Welder card coming out, because I think that can be put on any V Pokemon. So you could play it with that, I guess, to accelerate more energy in play. But I think with the ability of the Lefeon V, you shouldn't need that at all. You should be able to operate this deck fully functionally just by having the V and the VMAX. And because the attack cost of the VMAX is that Grass Colorless, you can easily play stuff like Capture Energy in here and stuff like that. So that would be very good for the deck as well. So strong 2-hit KO attacker. Grass typing isn't a super big advantage. Being weak to fire is generally not great in the Pokemon trading card game, because fire decks are generally pretty good overall. Just in the general existence of Pokemon decks, fire's been pretty solid. So nothing's really weak to grass right now that's really that big of a deal, or anything coming out that I can think of that'd be a big deal. And then being weak to fire is not great. And there's a lot of other decks that can already kind of do what Lefeon does. They kind of just 2-hit KO everything, or 1-hit KO smaller stuff. So there's no true great advantages in my mind to running Lefeon over something like a Victini VMAX or something like that. But who knows? Once these cards finally come out, who knows what other cards are going to come out alongside these cards, what other cards will have available. Then definitely could see it being, pretty good. We'll have to wait and see for sure. But yeah, definitely solid attack, solid Pokemon, and has a solid V to work with it as well, with some extra utility in that greening cells ability there. Next, I want to talk about Eldegoss. And most of these cards, some of these cards I've mentioned before, but I want to go over some of them. So Eldegoss, once in your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 basic energies, reveal them, and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So this is stage 1, and I think this pairs ridiculously well with the new Inteleon VMAX coming out that says, once during your turn, you may discard a water energy from your hand and put 2 damage counters on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. But continuously finding enough water energy to continuously do that can definitely be the problem with that Inteleon deck, but I think Eldegoss would fit so well in it. So when Inteleon comes out, it might not be great, but as soon as the Eldegoss comes out, because I'm pretty sure the Inteleon will be coming out in our next set here coming up in June, so we won't have the Eldegoss quite yet, so Inteleon might not be great, but I think once we get this Eldegoss, that will make Inteleon pretty good. As long as being weak to lightning isn't too bad in the format, I think the the Inteleon will be very, very good. We'll have to wait and see for sure, of course, but this combo with the Inteleon just seems super strong. So I'm looking forward to that when that happens. Also, I could see this being good in Calyrex as well. Want to get those psychic energy, or you need to find those psychic energy so you can get them into play, and you know, use your ability efficiently. Well, Eldegoss just does that for you, so yeah, no real drawback of playing like a 2/2 line in this in like a Shadow Rider Calyrex deck. So I could definitely see this being played in there as well. Of course, Calyrex coming out June, this coming out, like I said, it's gonna either come out in our August set or a little bit later in that October like special set that we kind of get later down the line. There's a Flareon V. The V is nothing too interesting. It is the single strike Pokemon, of course, and we'll keep moving along here. Same thing with the Vaporeon. Nothing really special. The what's it called really is like maybe the best V of any of the Pokemon, any of the Eeveelutions, is that the Lefeon V. Swampert, I thought I would mention Swampert. Now, as a stage 2, I don't think it's going to be viable. But I do also think, usually I'm like, well, why would they put all this stuff on a stage 2? Just put it on a stage 1 and maybe have some viability. This maybe would have been too good on a stage 1. With that Mud Maker, once on your turn, you may attach a water or fighting energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. So it just has to come from the hand. It's not coming from the deck or the discard pile. So that is definitely always less powerful in Pokemon, just with the way the game usually operates from turn to turn, the way the game functions. Having to take stuff out of your hand, so having to find it, get it in your hand, and then have the Pokemon set up, and then, you know, put it from your hand to in play. It's usually a little bit easier to get it from your discard pile or your deck. So not the easiest way to get the extra energy in play through the Mud Maker, and it is a stage 2, so that's going to slow it down tremendously as well. So good ability, but stage 2 I think makes it probably a little bit too slow. If it was on a stage 1, who knows, could have been good, maybe even too good though, is what I was thinking with this one. Maybe on a stage 1 this might have been too good. But yeah, it's cool. Might see some play and might be better than I'm giving it credit for, to be honest, but we'll have to wait and see for sure. I'm not too hyped on it, but it's got a good ability for sure. Moving along to the Melodic, I thought I would mention it. This one I was actually going to skip when I first did my initial read through of the cards. With the ability Droplet Protection, whenever your opponent plays a supporter card from their hand, prevent all effects of that card done to you or your hand. And expanded, I could see some more viability out of this. However, it's a stage 1. Expanded is very fast, so your stage 1s have to be really, really good if you're putting them in your deck. In standard, it does protect you from stuff like Marnie, but I don't see anyone trying to run a 1/1 Melodic line to stop the Marnie effect from disrupting their hand consistently. So I don't see this card being played, except maybe in expanded. There's a lot more things that can affect you in expanded, but even then, probably won't see play there either. Nothing, at least, that I can come up with off the top of my head. It is a Rapid Strike Pokemon, but I don't think that leads or lends to it being any more viable because it is a Rapid Strike Pokemon. Sure, you could find it with Artillery, I guess, but it's about the only thing I can think about. The Feebas is also Rapid Strike, of course, so you could like use Artillery to find the Feebas, then the Melodic in a Rapid Strike kind of deck, but I doubt that'll see much play. Skip over the Glaceon VMAX. Now, this might be the overall best of the Eeveelutions, with the ability Crystal Veil, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's VMAX Pokemon. So not for right now. There's a lot of tag teams still in the format, but come rotation, VMAXs are going to be the top decks. They just are, except for maybe, of course, did I say? Yeah, VMAXs are going to be the top decks. For some reason, I have Zacian on the mind. Zacian on the mind. It is weak to Zacian. That's why I have Zacian on the mind. It is weak to Zacian. Also, Glaceon does not protect from itself. So Glaceon VMAX Mirror, there's some, you know, attacking going on there, thankfully. And the attack's really good, too. Water Colorless, especially when your opponent can't hit you for very much because they can't VMAX. You're doing 150, and you do 30 to 1 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And with the new Water Welder card coming out, where you attach one basic water from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon, that'll help you set this thing up a lot faster than normally, than you would have to. So the Glaceon, I think, could be pretty good. It also comes with a tool card. There's a tool card coming out that removes the weakness, so maybe Zacian won't be that hard to deal with. But Zamazenta is another thing that can come into play, and if they're playing Zacian, they're probably playing Zamazenta post-rotation. So right when this card releases, if it releases in the August set, and we're still playing, you know, that kind of like big standard before rotation, then this card won't be as good. But if this card is come rotation, I think this card will be super good. Even with the weak to metal, you got the tool card, and maybe Zacian / Zamazenta won't be that popular, and that'll be kind of your auto loss, but maybe you can beat everything else, right? So if you can beat everything else, then you don't really care if you take that one loss to, you know, a semi-popular deck maybe. So yeah, come post rotation, this card is looking really good because VMAX is just where the game is headed. This thing can't be hit by VMAXs. That sounds pretty good to me. Moving right along, got the Jolteon here. Not going to comment too much on that. Like I said, most of the Vs don't really have anything super special going on for them. It's the VMAXs where they seem to be the most powerful for sure. The Sylveon V, it does have one of those abilities. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for one item card, put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. If you use the ability, your turn ends. And we're finally going to get to see Sylveon VMAX, which I mentioned in one of my previous videos where I took a look at some of the Eevee Heroes cards, and it wasn't released quite yet, or hadn't been leaked quite yet. So the ability is kind of cool for your first turn, right? You can just use it to get an item, so it sets you up nice for your following turn. Later in the game, there's possibilities to use it, but you probably will want to be attacking with the Sylveon VMAX, which has that Cherish Touch, attaching energy from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon, then heal 120 damage from that Pokemon for a Psychic, and then for triple colorless, so it can work with triple acceleration energy. 70 plus is attack does 30 more damage for each type of Pokemon on your bench. So theoretically, if you got 5 different types, you're doing what, 220. So you're 2 KOing most things, but it costs like a triple acceleration energy to attack. So overall, I don't see this Sylveon VMAX being too viable. There's people talking about using it with the Kecleon, where if Kecleon has, for each different type of energy Kecleon has attached to it, it is that type of Pokemon. But that's so much energy you have to get into play, and then you still have to be able to attack with Max Harmony. I don't see it happening. Of course, when rotation happens, we'll lose triple acceleration anyway. So in standard, at the very least, when this card comes out, maybe an expanded with something like Skyfield, this thing could see play. I guess I could see that. You have triple acceleration energy, expanded, so you have plenty of types to work with. You even have dual type Pokemon like the Volcanion and stuff like that. So in expanded, maybe this card sees some play with Skyfield. I could see that, I guess, at the very least. But yeah, in standard, when it releases, probably won't be very good. Also weak to metal, so a little less viable in talks of current standard with so many, Zacian decks running around. And of course, post rotation, who knows? But post rotation, this loses so many tools. Can't even put a triple acceleration energy on Sylveon because it's rotated. So, but yeah, expanded, who knows, right? Skyfield. Dual type Pokemon like the Volcanion, like I said, expanded, take advantage of that. Hitting pretty hard, you'll have triple acceleration energy, special charge to recover those, so there's be some viability to this card in expanded. Oh, not quite there yet. I was gonna say, speaking of expanded, but first let's take a look at the Umbreon V single strike Pokemon. I don't know if that really adds that much viability to it. I don't think you're playing this in a single strike deck ever. The one deck you probably are playing this in is Eternatus. Not for its attack though, although it definitely could come up where you do that 160 with the attack. Using it for that ability, once in your turn when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. So a gust effect through a Pokemon usually hasn't been overly that strong, but in a deck like Eternatus where you're kind of just looking to fill your bench with dark Pokemon, and people are like playing 4 Zigzagoon because why not? Like, you need to fill your bench with something, and that can sometimes be helpful. This is another card that would definitely sometimes be helpful, because now instead of having to go, a Crobat, hope to hit your boss, and your boss return, you can be like Marnie or research and then Crobat, and then find the Umbreon VMAX, and then that all of a sudden you're using boss plus Marnie on the turn, or effectively using boss, a gust effect plus boss, gust effect plus Marnie on your turn, which can make your turn that much more powerful. So yeah, this card I definitely see being played in Eternatus when it releases. If Eternatus is still, running around and viable, once again, come rotation probably is when we'll see these two combined. So when rotation hits, if Eternatus is good, you'll be playing Umbreon VMAX in it almost for sure. I don't see why you wouldn't. Because it's a little bit different with Eternatus, where it's like you have so much bench space to work with, and you just kind of need stuff to fill the void. Like people ran just like Absols in there, or like I said, people play like 4 Zigzagoon because you just want to bench something in Zigzagoon. Sometimes you get those like cheesy triple Zigzagoon plays to KO stuff like Sinestes, or get like a KO on triple Goon on something that has like 270 HP, like a Mew and Mewtwo, but you like whiff a Pokemon, but you got triple Goon ping on them, so that makes up for whiffing the Pokemon and stuff like that. So, but I feel like this would be a little bit stronger overall to have on your bench besides, just another Zigzagoon, because a lot of times your Zigzagoon pings are just kind of wasted, and you're kind of like, well, it might do something if I ping this, but if I always have a full bench, it doesn't do anything anymore. So Umbreon VMAX in Eternatus for sure. This is the one I was talking about. Another cool card in expanded for sure is this Zoroark. Standard, I don't see it happening, but expanded, the ability Illusion Transformation. Search your deck for a stage 1, search your discard pile, my bad, for a stage 1 Pokemon card, excluding any Zoroark. This is any Zoroark, so maybe it can get back Zoroark GX. I'm not sure on the ruling / wording of that. You have to wait and find out. I don't think it'd be that impactful one way or the other if it could get back a Zoroark GX. You obviously can't get back like the Foul Play Zoroark or something like that, because they are called Zoroark, but Zoroark GX has a different name, because you can run 4 Zoroark GX and 4 Zoroark in expanded. But yeah, I'm not sure on the wording on that. And then discard this Pokemon and all cards attached to it, then put the new Pokemon in this one's position. So you get to search your discard pile for a stage 1 Pokemon evolution card. So there's like a Zoroark box expanded deck going around, or has been going around for a little while. It has stuff like Muck, and with this card in the deck, you could even add more cool stage 1 Pokemon to help you in specific situations for specific matchups to really give you quite a big edge. You just have a Zoroark in play, chilling. All of a sudden it becomes this Zoroark, which becomes a Muck or a Garbodor, or who knows, whatever you need, right? So super cool card for expanded Zoroark. Standard, don't see it really added much to standard, but really cool ability. These are the kind of cards I would just love to see more of printed. Like I said, it's not going to be good in standard, but that's fine. It's just a really cool ability no matter what, and it will have some viability in expanded, which is also pretty cool. Giving expanded Zoroark more tools, I mean, it's not the BDIF or anything expanded, so giving them more tools doesn't hurt, but yeah, not going to be good in standard though. I don't see it being good in standard. I would love to be proven wrong, but I don't see it happening. Keep moving along. Where are we going next? We got the Vigor Shake, another probably good and expanded, but might be banned before it gets to be played in expanded card. When you use this card, your turn ends. Search your deck for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it, then shuffle your deck. You can use this card during your first turn or a Pokemon that was put into play this turn, but your turn does end, so you can't even play multiple down in the same turn. That would have maybe been an interesting effect to add to the card. However, if you want to play another Vigor Shake at the same time, maybe you could or something. I don't know how they would word that into the card, but the fact that it ends your turn means you need a really powerful evolution to be putting into play to want you to go out of your way to actually use this. I don't think those really exist in standard that way you'd want to end your turn. However, in expanded, a couple of them do exist, stuff like Trevenant, or maybe even stuff like Vileplume, stuff like that. There's definitely way more options in expanded, and who knows, this card might not even see the light of day in expanded. They might ban it in expanded on release, but I don't see this thing working out ever in standard. It's just ending your turn is just not very good. And how many would you even play of this in standard so you could find it on your first turn to then end your turn and then not use the rest of them for the rest of the game? That sounds like a lot of commitment for very little value. Dream Ball, you can play this card only if you look at it as a face down prize card before you put it into your hand. You may search your deck for a Pokemon, put it onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. Talked about this one and the Mystery Energy a little bit. This one doesn't seem very viable. Mystery Energy, I think, definitely has a lot more viability. There's a lot of stuff going on to get this to work. Got to be in your prize cards. If you just draw it as a card, it's not going to be very useful because you just can't use it. So yeah, Dream Ball, don't see it being very useful. Once again, kind of have to wait and see for sure, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Dream Ball. Elemental Badge, I am a huge fan of, and this actually might just kind of be the best card overall coming out of the set. Attach a Pokemon tool card to one of your Pokemon. The Pokemon this card is attached to, if it's a Vaporeon, Jolteon, or Flareon, if it has Vaporeon V, Jolteon V, or Flareon V in its name, it pays 1 less colors to use its attacks. So Vaporeon and Flareon aren't that great. We're about to talk about Jolteon here in just a second. But paying 1 less colorless to use your attacks through a tool card, so it's effectively energy acceleration. It has other ways to be removed, of course, outside of, like, the only way to remove energy is like Crushing Hammer or some kind of attack that removes energy. So, your opponent could be like Crushing Hammer heads plus a Tool Scrapper, of course, and remove it. But that's still a ridiculously powerful effect on a tool card. And yeah, this card is just kind of insane as far as cards go. Pretty nuts. And also, it works pretty well with the Jolteon, which we'll talk about here in just a second. Snowleaf Badge. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is a Glaceon V or a Lefeon V, it has no retreat cost or weakness. So like I said, the Glaceon VMAX seems pretty good, but it's weak to metal. So Zamazenta, Zacian are going to give it trouble. But with this, take away the weakness. Who knows? Maybe you can all of a sudden start beating them, or at least getting a 50-50. Because that would be the tough matchup for the Glaceon for sure. Would be like, okay, everything else is probably a VMAX. Oh, but Zacian, the most powerful V to exist, maybe one of the most powerful Pokemon cards to ever exist. That's gonna be a little bit tougher to deal with, but with the badge, who knows? Maybe there's some hope. There's a ton of Moon Badge for the Espeons and the Umbreons. It's just your opponent's supporters can't affect them, so not very good. This is probably the worst one, I think. We got the Ribbon Badge for Sylveon. Now, like I said, I don't think Sylveon's very good. I don't think this really makes Sylveon that much better. If it's attached to a Sylveon V and is knocked out, your opponent takes 1 less prize card, so you get a little bit more gameplay out of your Sylveons. But like, if your opponent has this 2-hit KO Sylveon VMAX anyways, like, how much is this actually going to change anything? I don't think it changes that much. I guess it might. Like, it's unlike the Amulet and the Heroes Medal, it doesn't reduce the HP, so they still have to guess. I guess they still have to 2-hit KO it, and then they also take 1 less prize card. For some reason, I actually thought it just made it have 100 less HP, like the other ones have in the past, the Amulet and the Heroes Medal, but I guess or Heroes Medallion. But I guess it doesn't. Now that I'm reading through it again, it just doesn't minus its HP. So this card is actually just really good on Sylveon. However, I don't think Sylveon's very good. So Probably not going to help it enough, but maybe once again, like an expanded Sylveon could be pretty good. So yeah, Sylveon and expanded, maybe standard. Even if it's worth 2 prize cards, it's not doing enough damage, I think, consistently to actually make a difference. But look out for this in expanded, maybe. Look out for an expanded. Moving right along. Fashion Mall, I have yet to read, so let's take a look at this one. Once during each turn, that player may choose a Pokemon tool card attached to one of their Pokemon in play and return to their hand. Not going to be good. Treasure Energy. This card I think has some viability in Mad Party and maybe some other decks as well. If you took this card as a face down prize card during your turn before you put it into your hand, you may attach this card to one of your Pokemon. So once rotation hits, Mad Party loses triple acceleration energy. They'll still have the twin energy, but they probably need to attack more than 4 times, or maybe they'll discard a twin energy at some point, or one will be prized, whatever. You need more ways to attack. So 4 treasure energy plus maybe a couple captures to pull off some more attacks in the Mad Party might be enough to keep Mad Party alive, come rotation. So excited to try this one out in Mad Party. There's probably gonna be some other decks that'll be pretty decent with it as well. We'll have to wait and see for sure, but Mad Party is the #1 deck I'm looking at, or this is the card I'm looking at to maybe keep Mad Party alive come rotation. And then Espeon VMAX with the as long as it has any of your Pokemon with energy can't be affected by effects of your opponent's attacks. And then Psychic Colors 60 damage, 60 times the number of energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. So that's pretty strong overall, but it will be a little bit meta dependent. Are there enough decks in the format that put enough energy in play for you to like kind of start to build up to one-shots, or at least limiting them from attaching more energy into play, is like troublesome for them. So then once again, this kind of is annoying to deal with because that attack is such a threat. How to set this up consistently, gotta probably combo with the Calyrex. So we'll see how good this thing is when it comes out. It's a good attack, it's a good ability, but I don't think it's going to be good enough to make it, tier 1, tier 2 when it does release. Flareon, not very good. Vaporeon VMAX, also not very good. The Jolteon VMAX, and we just talked about Espeon, this is the alternate art or whatever. The Jolteon VMAX, though, I think has a lot of potential. The more I've thought about it, the more I like it. So it combos with the badge, of course, so it only costs a lightning energy to attack. It does 100 damage. And then this attack does 100 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon that already has any damage counters on it. So I'm talking Zigzagoon plus Scoop Up Net plus Cincino plus Cheryl. You got the badge on here. You attach a Speed Lightning, draw 2 cards. Speed Lightning rotate? I actually don't even know. Whatever. Maybe you attach Speed Lightning. Maybe it's just a basic Lightning. Whatever. Put your badge on there. You're doing 100. You Goon Ping something. You do another 100. They hit you. You play Cheryl. You do some drawing with Cincino. Get your energy back. And you're swinging again. So this card, I like this card a lot. It's weak to fighting, of course. And come rotation, we won't have Weak Guard anymore. Even before rotation, even if Weak Guard is a thing, if it's up against like a Rapid Strike deck, they probably pack in the Giratina anyway, so it's not going to help you too much. But I like Jolteon VMAX. Really cool card. Seems really good. Combos with Cheryl. There's a lot of fighting decks. It's not going to be great in the meta, but if that ever shifts and fighting decks aren't that good, or if they're not popular enough for you to really have to worry about, every single matchup, and you're like, I'll take the L to Rapid Strike, but I can beat everything else. Yeah, I could see Jolteon VMAX being super, super good, especially because I think we're heading towards a format come rotation where the 2-hit KO battle is going to be what the format's just kind of about. And being able to abuse Cheryl, I think is going to be super strong. And it seems like Jolteon just does that super, super well. So excited to try this one out. The Jolteon VMAX out, and it's probably the best out of the Eeveelutions. I don't think there's any Eeveelution better. Espeon's probably the second best, but might not even be good enough to be played ever, to be honest, on a competitive level. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, those are all the cards from Eevee Heroes. We'll be getting these cards in our August set, like I said, or it might not be until like the special October set that we always get, like the mini October set, not a full set release, but you guys know what I'm saying. They don't have a booster box for it, but you can still get the cards for the set. And yeah, that's it. See you guys tomorrow.